It's Monday.
Well, it will be Tuesday when you
Oh,
view this.
Tuesday. Right.
We're
Sorry.
not we're not
Yeah.
falling into that trap again. Kia ora team, welcome to the Wholesome Half Hour. It's Tuesday, it's the second day of the week. We had the fateful announcement yesterday. My name's Sarah, this is Mackenzie, and today we're going to talk about what school's going to look like for the next little while. As we know, yesterday the government announced that we're going to be moving to level 3 at 11:59 p.m. on the Monday that's coming up, so essentially from Tuesday. But we're going to talk about how school's going to look like for all the different alert levels, whether that be we know the situation now, but what's it going to look like in level 3 next week, and then in level 2 and level 1 as well, because it's going to be a bit of a different year, isn't that right?
As if it hasn't already been.
It's not over yet. I guess that's the first message to remember.
God, what a harbinger.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, no, actually, like, let's ponder that for a bit.
Yeah.
Like, I love that we can see your sister walking in the hallway in the background. So, yeah, no, you are 100% right. Like, even though it has been announced that we're going down to level 3 for, the next coming 2 weeks, so that would be like 3 weeks from now or so, right? Like, it's not going to go back to normal instantly. Like, this doesn't mean that it's now like business as usual, right?
Yeah, so level 3, like you put it in our little notes here saying it's like level 4 but with KFC. I guess the point of level 3 from the government's perspective is it allows for maximum economic activity while still minimizing possibilities for transmission as much as possible. So like as the government, like the key principle is that like at level 4 it's essential activities only, and at level 3 it's safe activities only, so activities that can be done safely. So that's why you're seeing a lot of people who work in like construction, forestry and stuff being able to go back to work, but at the same time the government's saying keep your bubble small, mine extensions only, stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. So it's to allow for the most like at low risk things to function as well as they can during this time. But I think like obviously one of the biggest arguments that a lot of people are making for the lockdown to be like shortened essentially, or for everyone to be, freed from our, home prisons at the moment, like it is for that sort of economic gain. It's for people wanting to, get businesses going again and get all like the wheels turning in that sense, I guess. And I think it's like really important for like everyone at this time. It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter if you're in high school and university, or if you're working, or, if you're a parent, and even the people making these other decisions and stuff. It's about, this like long-term sort of hike that we've sort of invested or committed to doing at this stage. We've already done, what is it, 4 weeks now? So
yeah. One day short of 4 weeks.
We're going for a marathon, right now. We're not going for a sprint, and there's unfortunately no quick silver bullet solution right now.
Yeah. I guess the positive side to look at is, so New Zealand's been in lockdown for 4 weeks at this point. We're kind of going to be in lockdown for another, essentially like almost another week. So let's call it 5 weeks. And then we're moving to this level 3 stage. And then the government said we're going to be there for at least 2 weeks. Say we're there for 2 to 4 weeks. And then we come down to 2 and 1. And it's in 2 and 1 where you kind of see life return more back to normal. And compared to, we've been in the fortunate position where, for the last month we've been in lockdown, but hopefully, and we might not be able to extend our social connections just yet, but hopefully in another month's time, so 2 months total, we might be able to see our friends again and stuff like that. And that is something that other countries haven't had the opportunity to do, at all.
And I think it's like, on a really like huge basis, it's like this world, the whole world is playing this, like running this simulation on are you familiar with the like psychological experiment with like young children about like you have one marshmallow sitting in front of you, we're going to leave the room for a while and come back, and if you eat in the marshmallow we're going to give you more. It's like,
I read about this yesterday. I can't remember where though.
Oh, that's so weird.
Like literally the marshmallow exact one.
Well, that's like the classic experiment. And it's like your brain is kind of like older children are able to like delay their gratification, i.e. like eat marshmallows because they know that it's going to be better for them in the long run if they hold out. And it's kind of like the whole world is playing this game at the moment. So it's like we can't be the 6-year-old that wants to eat the marshmallow while the adult is out of the room.
Yeah.
Like that is what we are doing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I realize where I read it now. It was in an article talking about whether we should come out of lockdown. It didn't quite click at first. Yeah. I guess if we move into like the school context, so we've seen what lockdown means for schooling. It means like everyone's at home. Like there's no one going into school under any circumstances. So under level 3, years 11 up, it will be exactly the same. So 11, 12, 13, if you're NCA, like exactly the same. If it's year 10 or below, school is optional or it's voluntary, and the guidance is that you should only be going if, you know, your parents have to go to work. And
yeah. Essentially, like the whole younger than year 10 thing, I'm pretty sure is falling back on the whole, like you have to be, what is it, like 14 years
14,
old to legally be allowed to be at home on your own.
Yeah.
So like that's where they make that judgment. So it's like if you can stay at home, whether that be because you, I guess, maybe you're old enough. I don't know. I don't want to say things that are untrue. But like if your parents can stay home with you, like you should. It's like if you can stay home, you really should right now. It's
as
really
you have been for the past 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting with that one, but either way, like it's really very much so for, you know, those with parents that are essential workers and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the key takeaway there is for the next 2 to 4 weeks at least, we're going to be in the same situation that we have been for the past month. So I wouldn't expect anything drastically to change there. Obviously, this week or last week, we started to get a taste of what school is and will be like under lockdown. But I guess the key thing for now is to expect that to continue for the next little while. I wouldn't expect any change there soon in the high school space.
Yeah. And I do think that that's one of the best ways that we can kind of really preserve our mental health at this time as well, is kind of, unfortunately, like preparing for the worst, you know, secretly hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst, because otherwise what we're going to take ourselves on is this like roller coaster of emotions of like, you know, hope and then disappointment and these kind of things. So it is that kind of tactic of being able to take care of yourself around this time as well. But in terms of like dates in school and what all that kind of thing is going to look like. So as you were saying, Siren, you know, the lockdown will be lifted at 11:59 on, was it the Monday, did you say? Sorry?
Monday at 11:59 on Monday, the 27th. So essentially Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's also because like Monday is like the Mondayization of NCA as well anyway. So it like would have been a public holiday anyway. So school typically wouldn't have been running. But before that, for anyone that like doesn't know, essentially schools are going to be set up, like kind of cleaned, done like a maintenance check and all that kind of funky stuff. You know, the fun admin that you probably don't see as much will be on the 28th, before that, and then like the 28th. So the Wednesday is going to be like a teacher only day. So basically teachers are just going back in and trying to acclimatize themselves to being back in society as well, I guess, because you know they're experiencing this just as we are. And then it would be Wednesday the 29th?
Yeah.
Tuesday 28th.
That would be
Monday.
Wednesday the 29th would be the first day that we'd possibly see, or we would likely see some schools open. We probably wouldn't see all schools open on that day, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's an important note as well for like anybody who is watching this and stuff. It's still so important that you are having direct contact with what your schools and teachers are doing. And I think a lot of places will still be opting for distance, you know, online learning where they possibly can. So be sure to like have that direct contact as well, to know exactly what's going on for your situation.
Yeah. From memory, universities will continue to be online, but unis can hold labs physically if social distancing can be, or physical distancing can be maintained. That's
Interesting.
my understanding from my memory of the press
I
conferences that I've
know.
watched that have all merged into one over the past 1 month.
I've actually heard of a few uni students and stuff actually dropping out for this year and like just
Yeah.
vetoing their whole year, and they're just going to like come back the next trimester because they just think it's been like messed up and they don't want to do the distance learning, which is interesting.
An interesting solution.
An interesting solution. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Anyway, so yeah, like we were kind of saying before, I think it's still really important that we are still kind of sitting on this default expectation that we will be, working, learning, existing from a distance, still for, the coming weeks, and, how long's a piece of string kind of situation. Um, and I think it's kind of it's still obviously hard to get productivity really going, especially to the same extent that you would be in class or in school and stuff like that. But I think it's still really important around this time that we're making an effort. I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
yeah, it's probably the minimum that we can ask of ourselves at this time is that we're at least putting in some effort.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to replicate a skill day. It doesn't need to, be go, go, go. And, you don't have to learn 5 languages and crochet before you come out of this lockdown. Like, that's just, yeah, I really don't buy into that, like, whole, like, over productivity. Like, if you
Yeah.
want to do that, cool. If you don't want to do that, also cool. You do you.
Yeah, I think it's easy to fall either way. Like it's definitely easy to fall into the mindset that I have so much time, I should be doing so much with my time, and sometimes that's just like it's just unrealistic. It's just not going to happen. But then
Yeah.
likewise, it's also easy to fall into a mindset where it's like, oh, it's chill. My teachers don't know if I'm paying attention in class. I can just
Yeah.
watch YouTube and have the Zoom call on the other monitor. And
Yeah.
I don't think that's a particularly healthy thing either.
No, and I think that does really, like as a bit of a weird segue, I think it is really important that when we are kind of setting expectations, goals, work for ourselves around this time, that we're being realistic with the time frames that we're giving ourselves, or if we're giving ourselves any kind of time frame at all, really anticipate how long a task will take. That includes planning, that includes final refinement. It's not just sitting down and typing for however long it takes. It's thinking, formulating, planning, just as you would in a classroom, just as you would in a classroom. Yeah. So yeah, think about the ways that you work well, and whether that be task led or time led. I kind of work with a bit of a balance. I think like it's not fully good just to go by task, especially if it goes longer than you expect. But it's also good to give yourself some kind of time frames to work in, because it helps you like cut tasks down if you are finding that you're spending a lot of time on things. And I think that's important, like to bear both of those things in mind, particularly when you are dictating your own workload. What are you looking at?
Oh, I'm just doing some reading, as you do. No, I think you're totally right, and we've said it before, but like don't be afraid to contact your teachers. Like they're there for you, and if you have questions, like you should reach out to them and talk to them as well. I guess going back to the alert level thing quickly, so like, yeah, prepare to be in lockdown for a while. It would only likely see schools go back in real life in a level 2 or level 1 situation. The government will give more guidance on that as it happens, but I certainly wouldn't be expecting to go back to school for at least like absolute minimum, like another 3 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, definitely. But in this time, I think it's not a complete waste. It's not like this weird like chunk of 2020 that just didn't exist for the entire world. We can still do some things, albeit limited, but still some things in it. And I think like being able to rely on those around you by like talking to your teachers, and relying on your peers and things like that as well is like super important. And I know that like it can be difficult to find, would that be people who like do the same subjects as you at the same level, done the same standards, getting like general advice and things like that. Sometimes friends can either help or hinder, I find.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with me, you and I, when we're working together. We either help or hinder each other. It's kind of weird. Moving on. I like so like for the people who are watching as well at this time, and if you are one of these people who are in the boat of wanting to find like an extra group of people who you can sort of rely on, bounce questions off, and also have like a place for like constructive discussion around your learning and things like that, we do have a Facebook group, a Study Time NCA Help, Banter and Resources group, if I'm quoting that correctly, Sarah.
Yes, that is the correct name.
Oh yeah. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, just search NCA Help Group on Facebook and you'll find it. And please answer the questions, the screening questions. If you don't, we won't let you in. If you do, we will let you in.
Yeah, so
it's like a spam prevention measure, because otherwise you get like other random people trying to join.
Everyone's seen a weird spam account. We don't have to explain it further. You guys know what we mean. But yeah, it's a cool group. And
we don't want people offering you $500,000 lost dollars in the NCA Help Group. Sadly, I'm sorry.
No, because we ask questions. But yeah, no, that is. It's the weirdest promo ever. But yeah, there is a group there. So yeah, questions take like 30 seconds to fill out or so. And we have a few different like admins who check it like pretty regularly, and like provide that help, answer questions, sort of generate discussion and things like that. So if that's something that interests you, I'm sure Seren can do something that makes it easy to access from wherever you're watching this.
Maybe. I don't promise anything, but it is possible.
That's enough for me. Okay. Are there any other big main things that you think we did? Did we cover everything?
I feel like we have covered everything. I feel like we're in a bit of a groove now. We've been in lockdown for I don't know however many weeks, and it's chill. We can
lockdown groove. Actually, no, I can't keep doing things because you make them the dumb openings of these wholesome hubs. You did one with William and didn't take the mick out of him, and I
only hit record like
it was so dark.
There was no opportunities. It was sad. I looked for something, but like the recording was too short. We were both in a rush that day. I like the one from last time though. I knew you'd love it.
Yeah, my flatmates enjoyed it as well.
I'm glad to hear that.
On that note, I guess that's us for today in terms of our daily Wholesome Half Hour Study Time update, announcement, advice, banter podcast video. Yep. Many words. So thank you for watching. I hope this kept you a little bit updated on the situation. But another reminder: please do have contact with your teachers, peers, and anyone else that you can reach out to get like more specific help in like your region, school, and or any other kind of situations and things like that.
Yeah, 100%. No, I think we're good. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to ask us anything, or if you have anything you want us to talk about this week, let us know. We'll put a little question thing on our Instagram today, so you can check that out. Let us know your thoughts. But thanks so much for watching. Ka kite ana, and see you tomorrow. Bye.
Ka kite.